I'm Kate Berger. I'm from DPS. I'm going to be leading part of the training on how to effectively work with teenagers.
And Dawn Bauer, I'm with DPS as well, just one of the curriculum coordinators. So.
I'm Jackie Dietrich. I'm with a Denver-based cybersecurity academy and accelerator with education in cybersecurity.
What is it called?
Secure Set.
I'm Natalie, and I'm the lead creative at Inaugural.
I'm Keller. I work for Universal Mind, which is an agency of the old spaghetti factory.
Cool.
Tyler. And I may be filling in for RJ. He's the other person who comes to a lot of these events.
I'm Jennifer. I work at DaVita. I'm a user experience product owner at a position within DaVita. So HR.
I'm Nicole. Same. I'm Emily. I'm an internship coordinator at Tech Early College, so some of my students will be taking history. Emily. So Monica.
My name is Brian Corrigan, and I am the founder and director of Oh Heck Yeah, which Oh Heck Yeah transforms public spaces into a first of its kind immersive street arcade. So that's me.
My name is Beth. I'm Sophie, and I work at Turing School.
So the biggest purpose, just to kind of give a quick intro of this, is really just to do, in case you didn't gather this already from the paragraphs I sent to you, it's really just to go over, and correct me if I'm wrong, Monica, but the best practices in dealing with this particular group of DPS students. And especially considering that not everyone in the room has probably had training in dealing with high school students. We just want to make sure that we make all the trainings as effective as possible, they're well organized, that we have plenty of things to keep the kids engaged and stimulated throughout the trainings, because they're all going to be about an hour to 2 hours long. So yeah, we're going to just get right in and talk about the training.
So this is our first training doing anything with people who are drinking beer. So just have fun, I guess. This school district, we don't get to do this kind of thing. So,
I know, I walked in, I was like,
she sent me a snapshot of the snack. And I was like, wow, adult. So thank you for having us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the agenda, and then I'll give you a quick introduction to DPS students, and then we'll move on. So I'm going to provide kind of an overview and just a very quick snapshot of the students that we serve. And then Kate Berger is here. She, I think, introduced herself earlier. She's one of our curriculum coordinators, along with Dawn Bauer. And Kate is going to cover essentially effective strategies for working with young people. Young audiences are fun because there's lots of energy, but it's also an energy that you really want to funnel and contain and make sure that it's moving in the direction that is supportive of your goals and what you're trying to do in that particular section. So we're going to talk about effective strategies for training. Some of those things you may have heard before. Some things may be really new. Some things might be a good brush up. I went through her training a couple of months ago and heard some things that I definitely incorporated into my training right away because I thought, oh, I really like that. That's awesome. So you get a chance to learn, practice, apply, and then you'll have an opportunity to get some feedback from some of the DPS staff that are here about the agenda that we've put together so far, to kind of provide a youth perspective if you are really not familiar with a young population. Sometimes the things that are effective with adults really fall flat with young people. So the other piece too is we really want to have an idea of the audience that you're speaking to. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into our population. So we have 90,000 students in our district. 20,000 of them are high school students. 70% of our students are eligible for free and reduced lunch. Do you know what that means? What does that indicate?
Those socioeconomic status.
That's correct. So it means that you're either in a family that is working poor or living at the poverty level. So we're talking about 3 out of 4 of DPS students in our district. So a very large number. We're also one of the fastest growing urban districts in the country, as a side note. And we just recently had a real sort of surge of energy around growing STEM pathways or sets of courses a student can take in 4 years to focus on 5 different STEM industries, technology being one of them. We have 3 schools that have a technology program in place. We have engineering, we have biomedical, finance, and advanced manufacturing. And so last year we brought in 1,200 new students into pathways that were not there before or were expanded beyond what was in place prior. And then we brought in another 1,200, so we've got 2,400 students right now in STEM pathways, which is pretty amazing in a really short period of time. So that's our student population. So urban youth. So this is a real broad generalization. This is not meant to be a recipe or a description of every single DPS high school student you will ever meet. It will not fit. It is really meant to give you some themes in terms of things you might want to be thinking about and be aware of as you work with young people. So some of our students may exhibit traits such as resilience. Because we have so many students that are impacted by poverty, oftentimes with poverty comes a lot of challenges, and so our students may be facing instability at home, all different kinds of traumas and abuse, those kinds of things could be happening at home, and so just showing up at school sometimes is a big deal. And so that resilience factor is something that we see every day. It's definitely something that is very inspiring, but also sometimes comes out of a difficult situation. They're very ingenuous. No, that's not the right word. No. They have a lot of ingenuity. I don't know what the right verb is for that. So they're very creative thinkers. They're very out of the box. Again, they have very interesting ideas about things, and so it's really kind of a fun source to tap into. But again, it can be sort of all over the place, and so you kind of want to have some good channels and some structure for them to kind of funnel that energy into. Our young people are definitely seeking opportunity. We have 215 students in a brand new program who will be going into internships this summer. And about 80-something number of those students are in technology-specific positions. So they're definitely seeking opportunity. They want to get ahead. They're really thinking career. They're thinking about their future. They're trying to figure out what the right fit is. They may not have landed on a career that they think they want to pursue, but they're definitely in that exploration process. And they really have a desire to support community. And again, that's not every kid, but it is a common theme that we hear frequently from teachers and other folks who work directly with students, that they're really concerned about giving back and how can their work give back to the community. So that might be a theme that you could work with in some of your workshops if that is a fit. So some things to keep in mind. Students have competing needs and interests. So might be that the student didn't get any sleep last night because he worked till 4 a.m. at a job that he had to work in order to support his family, and so he's yawning during your workshop. Not an affront to you, but just his reality of, I'm exhausted, and I'm here, and I'm trying, but I'm also really tired. We may have students who, again, may have some things going on at home that may be distracting. We do have staff available, and will have staff from DPS in each of your sessions to help provide extra support for any students that are struggling or need some extra guidance. But just kind of be aware that sometimes that may be a factor at play. And they really need to know the why. And I don't know if that's this generation necessarily, young people forever, I don't know, but they really want to know, what's this information, what's it going to bring me, how does this help me, how does this fit with my world and the things that I need to know. So really hitting the ball out of the park, I guess, right off the bat with why they need to know the information that you're sharing, or how it fits in the bigger picture with technology, whether I want to be a graphic designer or I want to be a security specialist. So, and everything in between. So really helping them see the meat on the bones of your presentation. And they need engagement. What do you think I mean by that? Somebody throw out an idea.
Be involved in something, an activity or something, not just talked at.
Beautiful, excellent. So adults are the same. We like to do stuff, right? We want to be involved. We want to have discussion, or we want to be able to react to something. And the longer someone talks, the more we sort of fade away. And youth may be even more inclined to do that quicker. We're all sort of the same in that boat, but quicker than adults. So we really want to make sure that what we're presenting is engaging and it's switched up so that it's like, boom, here's a piece of information, now put it to practice. Okay, now here's some more information, do something with that. Let me ask you a question, let's think about ABC. So Kate's going to get into some of that in more detail, but really thinking about hands-on interactive is the key to your success. Because if it's too much talking, they tend to fade out. We do half-day job shadow, career exploration types of events. We did serve 1,200 students this year. And so we've learned a lot about setting up those agendas and the kinds of things that work well. And definitely when students get to do something or interact with something, and it can be so simple, but that's the thing that they walk away with. So it could be like, oh, I got to see the subfloor in the data center at the city of Denver. It was just so cool. And you're like, that's really cool. Glad you thought that was neat. You know what I mean? But they think it's really awesome. So anything new and kind of novel too, oftentimes helps to engage. Any questions on what I covered so far? Are you feeling like what I presented as far as our agenda is hitting on what you were hoping for, or are there other pieces that you feel like you really need to be able to put together a really powerful workshop for our people? Everybody's good? All right. I'm going to hand it off to Kate.
All right, so just before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was a teacher for a number of years in both very rural Mississippi as well as Los Angeles and DC, so I've been with a variety of kids from a variety of backgrounds, and what Monica said is true. The sooner we can engage them and the more exciting we can make our presentations, the better they're going to be. Personally, I was at a presentation from 7 until 3 today. It was not engaging very well, and so I hear what Monica is saying about even adults can zone out. So I'm going to try and make this as interactive and interesting as possible. So we're going to jump in with a video. As you watch this video, it's a clip of a high school teacher, and I want you to think about 2 questions. 1, what moves does the teacher make to ensure her students are well prepared to succeed in the activity? And how does she encourage students to engage in the activity? These are the 2 questions that are going to move us into planning, because during your presentation we want to make sure that you are keeping kids engaged and the students are prepared to do whatever you've asked them to do. So, 2 questions. What does the teacher do to make sure her students are prepared? And how does she encourage engagement? And if you want to just jot ideas down, Monica, do you have the handouts that I...
Yes.
Great. So Monica's going to give you a handout, and you can just jot ideas on the back.
All right, so this is a tall order. Next week, Unit 3 exam is 80 points. Our DBQ essay is 30 points. I will have it back to you next Tuesday with your progress report. This is an assessment. It's a way for you to gather all of the information you read, all the flashcards you have, into one piece of writing. So here's how this works. This was really fun last year, giving each other some feedback. Everyone take a look at the peer editing directions. You need to undo your 5 highlighters from the rubber band and take a look at the peer editing directions on the top. So we are going to make a color code for our peer editing. You and your partner are going to share highlighters. I hope this isn't an issue. So thesis statement is pink. So let's make a little color code on the top. So the thesis statement is pink. So when you find the thesis statement, you're highlighting in pink. If we have no pink on our paper, it means we can't find the thesis statement. Background information. Anytime you see a piece of background information, it's orange. I should see lots of orange leading into my documents. Anytime you see a transitional phrase, also, furthermore, in addition to, you're going to use green. Documents are yellow. Now remember, there's lots of ways to cite documents. Documents are yellow. I should see mostly yellow when we look at our body paragraphs, and analysis is blue. So we're essentially making a guide here so we can color code these essays. Give you a second to finish that. I think you're missing a blue book. We'll figure it out for you. All right. Okay, so here's how this works. There are 2 rounds of edits. They're about 15 minutes each. So here are the directions. Let's go through points 1, 2, and 3. Tanya, can you please read the first point? First, read the essay, the timer, the question. Great. So when you get one of your classmates' essays, despite whatever handwriting you have to work through, you are going to read the entire way through without even touching the paper. You're just going to read it through without making any corrections or notes. Next thing you're going to do, Tanya, Highlight for the key. So then you get out your highlighters. Hopefully you and your partner will be able to share peacefully. And you're going to highlight for the key elements. After you highlight for the key elements, now remember, if you can't find a document, if you can't find analysis, if you can't find background, you don't highlight. You're going to follow the rubric and make comments in the margins, just like you were a teacher. So let's take a look at the rubric here. We've got thesis statement, we have background, we have transitions, as well as documents and analysis. These questions here guide your here revision. And then when you're finished on the number 4, please write a compliment at the end of the essay. So you're going to write something nice, give a little smiley face, being as encouraging as possible. Now I also put your flashcards on your desk because I want to just be clear about what background information we're looking for. So let's open up our flashcard box right now. And I want to see in the next 2 minutes, if as a class we can just kind of list off some of the background information that we are looking for in this essay. So we'll just kind of go through the quick spikes here for the 1850s, some background information I'm looking for in this essay. So rapid fire, any background information we could potentially use for the 1850s. Let's go, Isaiah. Popular Socrates, a word you should see in this essay. Here we go. Dred Scott. Definitely something not in the documents that would be interesting to mention. Crystal. Uncle Tom's Cabin is not in the documents, but you could definitely mention Uncle Tom's Cabin as well.
All right, so while that was a little bit drier than I hope your presentations end up being, there were some really important key teacher moves there. So, think for just a moment about those 2 questions. What moves does the teacher make, and how does she encourage students to engage in the activity? Just take about 1 minute to jot down your thoughts on the back of the paper. All right, so as you finish up, turn to a partner and share with them and see what ideas you have similar and what else you picked up.
Yeah.
All right, so what did we hear? What did we see?
Verbal interactions.
Verbal interactions, excellent.
I kind of felt she walked around a lot and was kind of like keeping them engaged, not just standing up at the front.
Great.
She checked for understanding. Like at the end, she made sure that she called on the students each time to make sure they understood each time.
Great. Checking for understanding is key. What else?
All supplies were already ready to go, so everyone had what they needed. There was no wandering around trying to find this or that.
Yeah, there's like physical cues on those items too. Each time, like you're going to be using this. This is what you're going to be using before. Those were separated sentences. That wasn't one.
Great. What about the directions that she was giving? In addition to being verbal and written, what was good about her directions?
They were clear and direct. She didn't add a lot of superfluous information to the directions.
Great.
She made them do it as she was saying it as well.
Okay, so she's modeling as well. She's showing them exactly what they need to do.
She corrected non-verbally, and I didn't notice that the first time, but like when the kid was like not doing something, she was like, here's the pink pen, you know, hand it to him, you know, right here, highlight, you know, that kind of thing. And so she didn't have to say a whole lot or call the student out. She just kind of engaged them so that they were like, oh, she's paying attention, I better get going.
Great, great. And what was the mood of the kids in the general tone of the classroom? Like it was a little bit dry, but how did the kids, like what was their mood?
It felt like they were listening because I didn't hear anybody talking in the background. So it was
Okay. And what about the enthusiasm level for neither the kids or the teacher?
They seemed enthused like when she was actually like at the end with that practice kind of thing she was doing. They were all like raising their hands. But I kind of felt like in the beginning they were just kind of looking around.
So what was the difference between the beginning and the end?
I think she got them more engaged at the end. At the beginning, it was kind of she was talking at them, and in the end, it was more like a participatory.
Great, great. So you guys have come up with a bunch of keys to engaging students. On this sheet, you have effective instructional strategies, and there are portions about multimodal learning, planning, maintaining attention, and quick assessment. We're going to focus on maintaining attention, and another way of saying that is engaging students. So memorizing the lesson and anticipating questions that may arise. We didn't really touch on that. You guys are going to come into your presentations, and I saw in the packet that Cyrus gave us that there are some companies that have done a really good job of laying out a pretty solidified agenda. There are other companies that have an overview and need to flesh it out. And so regardless of where you are in that process, by the time your presentation comes for our kiddos, you're going to want to make sure that you have really internalized what is happening in your presentation. Somebody mentioned she's visible and moving around the room. She moved around the room a lot, took pens from kids, gave things to other kids so that kids really know her presence. The bold ones are the ones we're going to focus on when we jump into planning and practicing our own. Giving crisp and clear instructions and checks for understanding. Check for understanding is just a question that you ask to make sure that kids are following. So that one of the most annoying things that can happen as a teacher is you give directions and then you start the activity and then you see 30 hands go in the air and say, wait, what are we doing? So the checks for understanding help with that. Exhibits enthusiasm for the content, and then these last two. Sessions are interactive and fun, and there's a quick pace to ensure completion. The way that we like to think about it, the way that I was taught about it, is that the attention span of a child is about, in minutes, the same as their age in years. So a kindergartner's attention span is about 5 minutes. A high school student's attention span is 15 to 17 minutes, depending on how old the kids are. I don't know if there's research to back that up, but in my anecdotal experience teaching high school, about 15 minutes is good. So keeping a quick pace to ensure completion, changing activities every 15 minutes. What questions do you have about the strategies, especially the ones in bold? Great. Okay, so actually I forgot to do a quick little survey that I want to know. DPS people, don't raise your hands. If you are with a company who is presenting to our kids in June and July, we're going to do something called Fist to 5. 5 means that you are so comfortable in front of a group of 30 teenagers, you have taught them before, you feel like you could get up in front of a group with no planning and just lead a wonderful workshop. 0 means you're terrified of teenagers and you wish you could crawl under the table in the fetal position when you're around them, and you're really, really nervous about presenting. 1 through 4 are somewhere in the middle. If you are presenting to our kiddos, hold up a hand that shows us how you feel about your readiness for that. Oh, I thought you guys were.
Oh, sorry. Whoa, so when we do Fist to 5, we like a 1, 2, 3, and then everyone throws it up at the same time, so you're not influenced by other people.
Got it. See, he's clearly been a teacher and has better classroom management than me. All right, I see a lot of 4s and 5s and a couple of 3s and some 1s. So we have a wide range of people, which is why we are going to practice this, and you guys are going to pair up and get feedback from each other, so that by the time the day comes, everyone is at a 4 or a 5. So, each of your presentations, from what I looked at the agenda, is about 60 to 120 minutes long. Simple math, that means if we use the 15-minute rule, you're going to be most successful if you have 4 to 8 different activities, or at least transitions in your activities. So this is the biggest transition, I think, for people who are used to working with adults into working with teenagers especially, is that you have to mix it up and you have to change activities. An hour of lecture on cybersecurity is not going to work for our kids. But that's why we're here.
You've never seen a lecture on cybersecurity.
You're right. You're right. Touche. I may stand corrected. Send me an invite.
Great stuff.
So the activities don't need to be fancy or overplanned. So it's not like you have to have them highlighting and playing with note card for 15 minutes and then doing a stand-up activity and then going outside for 15 minutes. These can be quick changes to the activity. So one of my favorites that is super easy to do is just turn and talk to a partner. We've done that once, we're going to do it a few more times today. Another one is a quick write. So if you ask students a question and you get this in response, and it's sort of like the Bueller, anyone Bueller, you can have everybody stop and say, okay, everybody jot down an answer to the question, just your best guess. And then they're more likely to answer because they have something written down and they're not totally on the spot. And then group problem solving. The more you can get kids collaborating as a group, the more effective your session is going to be because they want to talk to each other, and as long as we give them something interesting and exciting to talk about, they'll talk about that. So, you guys don't have the agenda copies, but you probably have your own agendas. So each of you submitted an agenda. Will you tell sort of where we are as a whole?
Yeah, so I don't have like like Kate said, we don't have detailed agendas for everybody just yet. As far as like, for 15 minutes we're gonna do this, and then 20 minutes we're gonna do this. But what we do have for pretty much all of you is at least the paragraph overview. And so we will want more of a detailed agenda leading up to, and obviously, prior to the trainings themselves. Is that what you meant? Or?
Yeah, great. So do you all know what he's talking about? Either the agenda or the paragraph overview?
You haven't read it.
Wait, so I'm gonna
I'll be honest, thanks for being
So what I want to do is give you a few minutes to just brainstorm points in your presentation where you can insert activities. If you already have a minute-by-minute presentation, read through it and find where the activities are. Think about if you want to tweak them. If you just have the paragraph overview, you can use the back of this sheet to outline ideas for where you might do an interactive activity. To show you where this is going, after this is done, we're going to write and practice the directions, because one of the most challenging things when you're teaching a group of teenagers is communicating to them what you want them to do in a way that they will do the things you want them to do. So spend a few minutes brainstorming. Picking on you, can you summarize what we're doing?
We're going to spend a few minutes going over either starting agendas if you haven't already, or editing them based on the tips and things.
Perfect, thank you. Thanks for understanding. All right, take 6 minutes to brainstorm. If you have a partner, brainstorm together. If you're on your own, brainstorm, it's up to you. Also grab a beer. I've never said that on the TV before. Grab a beer, grab some food, and we'll take about 6 minutes, and then we'll come back together. Thank you. All right, so hopefully by now you each have at least a skeleton of an activity that you will do with your kids. Thumbs up, yes. Thumbs down, not quite. Mostly thumbs up, okay. So now we're going to talk about giving clear directions, because again, the success of your workshop is going to depend on the directions that you give. So I like to think about giving directions as MVP. This is a quick acronym that will help you remember the things that you need to say to kids so that you don't leave any steps out. So M stands for movement. Are they going to stand up? Are they going to sit down? Are they going to get into groups of 5 kids? What are they going to do? Are they going to get supplies? Are you going to bring them supplies? What movement is happening? Another set of directions is voice. Are they going to be silent while they do this? Are they independently trying to come up with a puzzle for a peer? Are they going to be whispering to each other, or are they going to be talking? This is more important in a regular classroom where you have a lot of interactions with kids, but still something to keep in mind. And then finally, participation. What should students be doing during when you set them loose? So you remember the teacher from the video, she said she went through very clearly what they would be doing. She did a really good job talking about their participation. So the best thing that you can do in order to get really good at something is to practice. So I am actually going to ask you guys in a moment to practice giving your directions, but I'm going to give you a chance to script out those directions before I have you do it. The purpose of this practice is so that A, when you get up in front of the kids, if you were a lower number on your hand and you're getting nervous, this is a chance to just go through it a couple of times. The other is to get feedback, because we may think that our directions are super clear, and then when we go to give them to someone, they don't know quite what we're talking about. So we're going to go through multiple rounds of this to make sure your directions are as precise as possible. Questions on MVP or the goal of this next piece? Done.
So we're just going to focus on just one of the activities, even though you might have 4 to 8 activities total. We're going to practice just on one of the activities.
Yep, absolutely. So you guys are going to write a script on the back of your paper, on another piece of paper or computer, that says, today we are going to blah, blah, blah. So you're actually writing out what you're going to say to kids, because 5 minutes from now, you are going to stand up with a partner, pretend they are the kids, and give those directions. Does that make sense? That was a terrible check for understanding. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Do you want like the overview, us to write an overview, do you want us to write an actual block of time? Just one of the blocks of time?
One actual script for one activity.
Okay.
Great question. All right, so you have 5 minutes to script out your directions. Go. And make sure in your directions that you have a check for understanding at the end. All right, so even if you are not finished with your directions, I believe everyone has enough directions to go ahead and practice. So what we're going to do is we are going to practice a little bit differently because we have a number of people who are here to support, so we can actually get more practice in a shorter amount of time. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a person who's not presenting pair up with a person who is presenting to get feedback. All right, so what's going to happen is when I say go, the presenter is going to stand up because we don't present sitting down very often. You're going to stand up and you are going to present your directions to your students, who are your observers. You're going to get through your directions. When you're done with your directions, you're going to check for understanding, and then you can sit back down. After you've sat back down, your support person, your student, is going to give you feedback. The way that I like to give feedback is by saying this. The best thing you did was blank. So they know what they should keep doing. The best thing you did was project your voice really well. Next time, try maybe checking for understanding in the middle of your directions because you gave a lot of directions. So if you use this format, they know what to keep doing and they know what to change. Then you're going to have a chance to stand up, do it again. We're going to do 3 rounds. So present, feedback, present, feedback, present, feedback. Okay? Presenters, what was some feedback, or observers, what were some really good moves that you saw your peers make?
Really good directions. Like very clear, they would have been fine in front of a group of students, they would have known what to do.
Awesome. Great. What else?
Awesome energy.
Yeah.
Great. Tyler with the energy. Bring it in.
Same, clear, concise, like very clear voice, loud, positive energy.
Perfect. Presenters, what was some good feedback that you got?
I was kind of reading from the block of text, which didn't make any sense, like actually said. So after I could churn through it, he gave me really good feedback. I was like, know what you're wanting to say, right? Like, don't just repeat it. So that was really good.
Great. 2 more really good pieces of feedback.
So one of the things that we heard was we could be more careful about the language we use. Sometimes we're using more industry-specific language that they may not understand.
Great. One more?
More opportunities for interactivity.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. All right, presenters, you have 1 more chance. Make it your best round. Stand up. Make sure you get 1 round of practicing, even though it's Roberts. And keep. All right. So bring it back together. I must confess, I was really nervous to do this workshop, A, with people drinking beer, but B, with people who aren't teachers, because I was afraid that there would be some skepticism on the practice. I deeply, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you guys jumping all in and really engaging in the practice. That's what's going to make these workshops effective, so I really appreciate that. The last task that I would like you to do is on your same script, whatever piece of paper you want, just jot down what is your one or two key takeaways about presenting to our kids in a few short weeks. 1 to 2 key takeaways, and we're going to whip around and have you share out. I would love to hear your key takeaways. What are you taking home with you to think about and percolate before June and July? Yes?
Make sure that your direction is concise.
Awesome. Yes?
Always explain the why.
Yes.
Beautiful. What else?
Engaging, fun, interactive, and relevant.
Love it. You guys?
We had clarity in why, like basically why.
Awesome.
So
Great. Do you have one?
Breaking things into small bites.
Beautiful. Cool.
MVP piece, movement, voice participation.
That was something that revolutionized giving directions for me because I would often forget one of those pieces. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Monica.
Okay, so we want to give you some more time to go back to your agenda and now continue to fine-tune and really look at the things that you had planned, maybe add in some activities if you don't feel like you've built in enough already, and then adding in some of these cues and maybe even writing out some scripts in terms of the chunks of presentation that you'll be putting out there to the students. So we're going to give you about 15 minutes to revisit your agenda, do some work on that, and then kind of do a real quick recap, and then we'll be done. Questions or comments? Everyone, if you want to staff people, stick with whoever you were working with previously. Anyone that needs a staff person that you have one, actually, you're good over there. Okay, so go ahead and looking back at your agenda and doing some more modifications and refining.
The other one?
Something came up.
So, I'd like to do the fist of 5 again to see where your comfort level is now that you've had a chance to think about your agenda and get into a little more detail. And I'm wondering if people went up or down as a result of this process.
Not necessarily readiness level, but just comfort level, right?
Yeah, well, comfort level and also feeling, confident about moving forward with this process. So, do you guys mind just like checking in individually? I kind of like to know where people's comfort level is so that I can kind of follow up if folks need further support. So, can we start in the back? Would you mind if I pick on you?
Sure.
Great.
So I'm gonna throw up a 4. I threw up a 4 before. I feel more confident, but I don't feel as confident as that 5 was. That felt pretty strong.
It's really healthy. It's a good place to be. I think you got a little edge there
Yeah.
to grow. That's beautiful. All right, excellent. How about you?
I'm also a 4. I was a 3 before, but I was just kind of getting an understanding as to what you were expecting out of me, kind of thing. And I kind of walked in late, so that's kind of my problem. So, but I have a better understanding as to what needs to be delivered and how it should be delivered. So,
Okay, fantastic. You got some great stuff. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited to see all of your material. How about you?
I'm in between a 4 and a 5. I was a 4 before, but now I feel a little
Okay, so you got a little better foundation as far as what you want to do and how to do it. Awesome. Give me something that you're going to do different than what you thought when you walked in.
a lot more actionable steps. So I had an outline before with a paragraph for each section, but now I have like a form, now I have an idea to have a form that they'll fill out to make sure that they're giving in information, that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. So you've just got a little more structure in place
Right.
to keep them going. Okay, beautiful. How about you guys?
I'm at like a 3.5. But I'm up from a 1. So.
I'm so excited. That's
and it's
great.
not that I don't feel confident in our material. I'm just a terrible public speaker. So
you did great. I think you guys are going to do beautifully. I really do.
okay.
So that's wonderful. I'm glad that you're feeling more comfortable. So what about the session helped you feel a little more confident?
Just getting a little bit more clarity on what we do need to work on rather than just kind of going in there blind.
Great. So fantastic. How about you?
I'd say I'm like a 4. I was a 3 earlier, so yeah. And I mean, all the same reasons. Like we now know kind of what areas we're lacking in, and mostly kind of the explanation part of it. But yeah, I feel pretty good.
Awesome. I think you did some nice work just in the little time that we spent together to kind of get it a little bit tighter, but great material. I just got a chance to get more into the details. How about you?
So I'm going to be that guy, and I was a 5 before, but now I'm a 6. So you guys can all hate me later.
That's awesome. Great. She's a
I know, yeah, I had a great coach right here, so it's all because of my coach, so.
I was a 3, I'm a 4 now. I need to put more time into prepping, but I feel like I've got much more structure around that. And it was really helpful to know what to expect of the students that we'll be working with. That was a big takeaway for me.
Right. Awesome. The practice piece, I was so amazed. Even in doing my own practice when Kate presented this at another session, and just honing in on some things where I was like, oh yeah, I can tighten that up. Oh, I can make that shorter. Oh, I could, so it's a learning experience. So I'm delighted that you guys had a chance to do some of that while you were here. Let's see. Oh, is that everybody? We went around. All right. We have a little extra time. If you would like to come up and ask any additional questions or would like some additional support, we'd be happy to talk with you by phone or come out and meet with you if that's helpful. Thank you so much for taking the time this evening to step out of your regular workday and be here, but also to be with our students. You're going to love them. You're going to have so much fun. They're really, really awesome young people. We're excited to have you meet them and to work with them, and we so appreciate the dedication of your time to this project. So lovely to meet everyone. And again, if you have questions, I'll put out my card if everyone wants to follow up or needs further support. Thank you so much. And we got you out a little early, so enjoy your evening. Hopefully it's dry.
Thanks, everybody.